So there's this ongoing gag about Yonkos asking the other first commanders of other Yonko organizations to join their crew. The unique thing about this is that the commander in question would always be a unique individual amongst the Yonko crew that they're being invited to join, because when Big Mom asks King, or rather Albert, to join the Big Mom Pirates, she asks him this because he is of a unique race. Now, there are a lot of weird logistics with that because, one, you can say that he would be a unique member of her organization because he is Lunarian, and therefore he's one of the three races that she doesn't have, which within that you could say, one, she doesn't have Lunarian, or two, she doesn't have a sky person. And you could see Albert as just a representative of all sky persons because most likely Lunarians are a part of the same group as the Birkins, Shandorians, and Skypians. So he could be the representative of that whole entire group of people. The same thing goes for giants. So continuing on with Yonko asking first commanders of other Yonko organizations to join their crew, the second time this has happened to my knowledge is when Shanks asks Marco of the former Whitebeard Pirates to join his crew. If he would have joined, Marco would have been a unique member because there are no Delfruit users currently, as far as we know, on the red-haired pirates. So he would be the one and only Delfruit user. Of course, just like with King, Marco declines, even though the Whitebeard Pirates are now disbanded due to the death of Edward Newgate, otherwise known as Whitebeard. So with all that being said, when it comes to Buggy and Crossguild, I think Zoro actually will join Crossguild. Well, technically, because you see, this video is meant to be a follow-up video to my Neomads X Crossguild video. Now, speaking about Crossguild, the current member of Crossguild, Mihawk, had a former base in the Muggy Kingdom on Gloom Island. The inhabitants of Gloom Island are known as human drills. Human drills are monkeys that can copy the fighting styles of humans and use weapons. In that being said, in the anime, there is a particular human drill that manages to copy Zoro's three sword style. Now, in talking about Neomads joining Crossguild, I mentioned that it would be very on brand for them to use the clones of the Germa because it's very reminiscent of the zombies of Thriller Bark. Well, this is in a similar vein to that because the zombies of Thriller Bark were known for having shadows within them, and using those shadows, they could copy the movements of the person whom shadow is possessing them. So they technically were that person, or at least a parody of that person, a corpse with the abilities of the person whose shadow they have taken, thanks to the powers of the Shadow Fruit. In this situation, the human drills are very similar, as they too are a large drone unit who copy people. So they are a large drone unit based on the concept of mimicry. This is even more interesting when you consider that both Moria and Dracula Mihawk are very vampire-like. So I just thought that was very interesting. Now, the only problem with this is that the monkey, the human drill that copies Zoro, technically is not canon. However, you have to remember, Zoro has spent 2 years in the Muggy Kingdom. So, if he has spent 2 years training with Mihawk, the idea of there being a human drill that knows three sword style very intimately is not out of the question, seeing as how these human drills literally observe fighting styles and then are able to copy them. So in observing Zoro for 2 years, there undoubtedly is still a monkey or several monkeys who know the three sword style. Now, getting into how Crossguild comes into play when you consider this is because, well, I think when the Crossguild do commandeer Thriller Bark, they will come back around and collect these monkeys, because it's not only Mihawk who has a particular intimate relationship with the human drills. Perona would also have an intimate relationship with them, as she has spent 2 years with them. You even see them all together during the 500 million berry man cover story, in which they are farming cabbages together. So it's very likely that they are going to collect them once they get control of Thor Bark. And two, when you start to think about Cross Guild being very circus themed, they fit the fold very nicely, because, well, you would have monkeys in a circus and you would have animals doing tricks in a circus. And that's all these things are: monkeys who are able to do very complex tricks and copying fighting styles. On top of that, this in a turn would be like Zoro joining Cross Guild, which I think would be a very sneaky reference to how Zoro was going to be portrayed at the start of the story once upon a time. Because originally, Zoro was going to be a part of Buggy's crew before One Piece started. And there are sketches of this. So in a way, with a monkey knowing Three Sword Style, or several monkeys knowing Three Sword Style being a part of Cross Guild, I think would be a callback to Zoro originally being a Buggy pirate. But this makes a lot of sense too when you consider Buggy's relationship to Shanks, because if you don't know, Shanks has a monkey in his cabinet called Monster. Monster is a senior officer, a commander of the Red Haired Pirates, and also is one of the two musicians on the Red Haired Pirates, along with Bonk Punch, whom of which he's seen with all the time. So, Buggy wants to upstage Shanks. Thematically, it would make sense for him to get the whole squadron of Humandrills, because while Shanks has one trained monkey in his cabinet, Buggy potentially would have several who are, I guess, smarter than Monster, because they can adapt to human fighting styles by just observing them. So that would be a way that you could say Buggy, once again, is upstaging Shanks, because he not only has one trained monkey, but several who are specialized in particular fighting styles, which I find very interesting. And to continue on with that for a little bit of extra thought, there was another monkey in the anime who had managed to copy Mihawk and had a very similar sword to Mihawk, like a false Yoru. So not only do I think the Zoro monkey could become canon, but I think the Mihawk monkey could also possibly be canon as the sort of squad leader of all the other Humandrills, seeing as how it's depicted as being the biggest Humandrill. So that's a little food for thought. I wonder if they're going to swing back around to get all these monkeys just based on the intimate relationship that Perona and Mihawk seem to have with them. Also, a little bit to add on to that is that we know that Perona does like cute things, so maybe she always thought the monkeys were cute. Don't know, but that's just something to think about. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Works.